Mr. Fran. Mr. Fran. Mr. Fran. What is going on, gente? Happy Easter Monday, man. What's going on? Just wait a little bit, see who taps in, not, then I'll just take off from there and I'll just get it started, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll just get it started. It's funny because I was at the gym, and I play some music to get motivational. You know what I'm saying? So some people have a different playlist than mine's. Who remembers, man? In the '90s, deep house, man, gets me excited, to tell you the truth, because it's going fast, it's consistent. So I guess that little pump, makes you want to dance, makes you want to move. So when I'm at the gym, I'm just grinding and getting it. But it's crazy, man, because who says that gangsters and the music and deep house or house music was part of the gangster culture back in the days? You know, I understand, for some of the old gangsters, where, gangs been around since the 40s, 50s, 60s, and therefore, man. What up, Joker? How you doing? Viejo, thanks for tapping in. Bear up, G. And but just like anything else, man, times change, and it's crazy how it went from playing oldies and even like rock and so forth, and then we got into that transition. Queen B, Big D Town Monica, I said, hey, oh, I definitely will. She's at work right now, and appreciate you. Thank you, Queen B, for doing everything and sharing my posts and so forth. Um, I was here before Joker. Hey, we're all family, man. So it's all good. Thanks for tapping in. But you know, um, during the '90s and growing up in the '80s and the '90s, there was a lot of a lot of things that changed, and it's crazy. Queen B, I see you. And it's crazy because there was a big transition, and as the world keeps on turning and moving, and things get there's a transition and changes. It went from deep house was part of the gangster culture, and what I mean by that was that, who remembers the house parties, the ditching parties, and so forth? I mean, you got to understand, even through the '80s and the '90s, that we even classic rock, rock was even being implemented in our music that we were hearing. And I remember my uncle, man, he was always hearing music and so forth, classic rock, The Doors, Led Zeppelin, I could go on, man, so, it was crazy, and then after, you guys remember the vibe, right? There was skateboarding, there was biking, and then next thing there was tagging, and then gangs. Gangs have always been around, but the functions around it, were always changing. You know what I'm saying? When it came to music, when it came to lifestyle, when it came to anything, things are always changing. The world keeps on turning. Sometimes we bring back the retro and so forth, but it's crazy, and it'll be crazy to say that deep house, if it wasn't a part of our growing up and wasn't a part of the gangster lifestyle in the '90s, it's a lie, because it was. Nice, because the reason why I know that, is just like, because I used to go to the house parties. Who remembers when there was a house party that was being, conducted in your neighborhood? Who was there? The local homies, you know what I'm saying? And the reason why is because you knew there was gonna be some hyenas there, everybody, there was gonna be music, there was gonna be food. Not that we care about the food, but there was gonna be pisto, there was gonna be drugs. So, it was part of the culture growing up, a part of being a gangster in the lifestyle, man. Especially, you knew that other vatos were probably gonna tap by, or stop by and try to tap in, you know what I'm saying? So when we say let's tap in, man, you better tap in and this and that, man. There was a different way of conducting tapping ins back in the day, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you can't tap in everywhere in LA, man. That's a bunch of, when people, I trip by and people hear people say, oh, you got to tap in, you got to check in, this and that, man. That's a bunch of malarkey, man. You know what I'm saying? LA is so big, man. It's just like, as long as you wiggle the right way and you make your right movements, or you're not causing no problems, or you're not trying to flash or put yourself out there, then you'll be all right. But if you're representing, you're putting yourself out there, and stuff like that, then you're in your social media and you're about to get crazy or so forth, and you think that you're untouchable, then that's a lie, man. So, back then, what I'm saying, it was very agile, and it was very mobile, and you were able to tap in, man, with all this music and everything that was taking place. So, backyard parties was back in, man. You know what I'm saying? Coco, what's up, homie? You know what I'm saying? Real ones, huh? You know what I mean? Gracias for tapping in, Coco. But like I said, man, so, I wanted to do this live. If you guys have any questions or answers, I'm going to play some music, man, that maybe some of you guys have never played, or never heard of, should I say. And this is the kind of music that I still listen to, believe it or not, especially when I go to the gym. And every once in a while, when I'm on a road trip, to Laughlin, or, going up north, or wherever I'm going, where you're falling asleep and stuff like that, you get a little tired. You need some of that kind of music that would just get you pumped up. Remember the ditching parties? That's what I'm talking about. There was a lot of ditching parties back then. It was crazy. It was wild, man. The mom and dad were not home. Neighbors, everybody's at work. Nobody really knew what was going on. So they would come in real quick, set up, and then next thing you know, man, mostly it was all. I remember it was mostly girls, man, that were opening up their houses, for these type of events that were taking place, man. And a lot of gang members, when we were going to school. Yes, what I mean. After school, we would find out, but the ditching parties, that's what it was all about, man. You had a lot of people that were a lot of youth, a lot of young people that were non-gang members and not associated with any gangs, but they had their own constructive way of doing things and gathering their own kind of culture and stuff like that. So housing rebels and all that stuff was part of the lifestyle. So the question is, was gangsters part of the house, part of the house, deep house movement, the house parties and so forth? It sure was. The flyer parties, that's right, Coca. Flyer parties, ditching parties, and so forth. It's a fact. Yeah, Big D goes with facts sometimes because the truth is the truth, man. But it was wild back in the days, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of homies were always there, because like I said, they were there to do their part, which was protect the neighborhood, protect the calles, what I'm saying? Making sure that nobody was coming in and, was going to disrespect the barrio, think that, they could come in and wiggle any other way. It don't work like that back in the days in the 90s. And this was before the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. That's what I'm saying. It was a different trend at that time. It was a different time set at that time. The world was inventing new things. Music is always changing. The culture is always changing. The lifestyle is always changing. So it was pretty crazy back in the days, man. Like I said, man. But flyer parties, man. There was cliques, there was groups, there was gangs. So they had their own movement, right? But it all came down to like where the party was going to be at. Everybody knew already, man, depending what kind of neighborhood or where the party was going to be thrown. It was pretty crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, accident, I ain't going to say accidents, but, a lot of times I seen people, they got regulated for, being disrespectful, being sloppy, not wiggling the right way and just thinking that, hey, that they could just, move with any type of way that they wanted. And that was not the way. It was not going to happen. There was a lot of parties. It was thrown in a lot of neighborhoods, especially if you're in Southern California. It didn't matter if you're in San Gabriel, San Fernando Valley, Inland Empire, San Bernardino, Southeast Los Angeles, Northeast Los Angeles. There was a different movement and a different culture back then. So whoever says that, house parties were not, part of the gangster culture, that's a damn lie, man, because house parties in the 90s were definitely a part of the gangster culture. But let me see, the 90s were fun and wow, they were. The 90s were crazy, man. Even though, gang banging was LA's the mecca of gang banging, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just is, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to neighborhoods and all that other stuff, man, that was part of the culture and so forth. And from there, it just excelled and grew. And everything else after that is, it came along with it, man. Like I said, let me see, Tally said one time back in the day, I went to Peppers. I remember Peppers and met a beauty queen. We danced all night long and she took me home. I moved in with her and eventually it didn't work out. Dang, dog, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, man. That's just the way it works, But just smash that like button now, the homie Big D, some love. Gracias, I appreciate you, dog. But that's just the way it was, man, back in the days, So, if you guys have any questions or any answers, man, feel free at any. I remember the hop in Lakewood. Yeah, where was Peppers at? I remember Peppers was I remember what's the one right there off the 62, man, where off the 60 freeway también, I remember that too. There was a few of them. I didn't really go to like certain places because I remember in Hollywood they used to have the dome and all that, where house parties and all that. But it was great. It was crazy. There was a lot. It was a time to be at that time, being a youth or a young teenager, man, things were cracking, man. Like I said, I was already part of an organization. I was affiliated with a gang. So, I found myself, I didn't want to wiggle with these people. But it's crazy, like I said, throughout, growing up in the 80s, a lot of styles came out, graffiti came out, biking came out, skateboarding came out. And then next, gang banging was just boom at its peak. It was the late 80s because I remember in Boyle Heights where my grandma lived, man, my uncle, gang banging and all that stuff. I remember, everything came out like around that time. So I was born in the 70s. And then after I grew up in the 80s, man, and a lot of stuff was happening back then. So it was different. I don't know in other places. You got to understand, other places in the States, they're not familiar to our culture, to our lifestyle, man. Especially the people in the country, they have a different way, their different movement, a different way of wiggling. So, but over here, living in the fast lane, living in LA, there's always, there was always a party to find. There was always a party to go to. There was always a party that was just happening, eh? So it was feeding. But Sandy Mine's big deal. What's up, Southtown? It's good to see you, dog. But it was crazy. But we'll play some music and let me see, if you guys, let me see if you guys remember this stuff. But this stuff helps me. It brings me back in the day, say. So I thought I'd just do a little live. So let's get into it. I just can't believe all the things people say. Let me know if you guys can hear if it's good. Thumbs up. This is gonna be a little hard for you guys to, hey, play this song, play that song, because where's that? Coco, remember that? That was back in the stuff, you know what I'm saying? Back in the days. You used to go, especially at night, right? The weekends, they were happening, eh? Yeah? Sounds good, Queen Bee? Thank you. You got the go-go dancers, right? Everybody come in, all kinds of, I hate to say drugs, and, it was all kinds of, the nitro and all that stuff. Everybody was still sniffing pain, popping pills. That's when it all started. Right? And especially the way they were wiggling in the dance movements, right? It's crazy, eh? But hey, those go-go dancers were getting down, eh? They used to get down at the table, and all the homies be like, yeah, all the people, you just see. It was like a movie set, you know what I'm saying? If you guys seen The Matrix, that part, I forgot the second part. They're all in the cave. But this is for you people. Check this out. We got 6 people in, man. I just thought I'd share a little bit. Hip hop was part of the gangster movement in the 90s. Or should I say house? House music, house parties. And if you don't know, now you know. I don't know how everywhere else and every other place was on, but if you tell Coco, you tell a couple people, it was it. Yeah, house music, right? It was a different trend, man. I remember that Rebellion. They had Rebels. They had Whole Town. There's all kinds of different names, just like gang names. All these party crews had different names. Eh? You see what's on there? Yep. Back in the early '90s, the backyard parties were always bumping to Unlimited. That's right, Mr. Dog Brain. So my boy, sending my homie. Aquatics, thanks for tapping in, dog. I want to play it too loud. And YouTube, I don't own the rights to this, but if you could find it, shut me down. Oh no! I dressed like a rebel for a short time. You had the belt, all the belt hanging loose. You had those Doc Martens. Remember the fashion was crazy, dog. They were suited and booted too. I see people, different kind of party crews get down at their own. We'd be like, whoa, trip out of these fools, man. It's like gang banging within their own gang banging. You know what I'm saying? That was just the 90s, right, Coco? The backyard parties, the weekend parties, the ditching parties. That's what it was. So house music in the 90s was part of the gangster culture, man. Straight up, dog. Anybody wants to, argue, go ahead and, leave your comment, man. But I could guarantee you in the 90s, in LA, San Fernando, Inland Empire, Riverside, San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley, there was always a party, bro. Yeah, party crews banged on each other, you're right. Hey, but the music gets down, though, When I'm working out, Coco, you still know how to party, dog? Get you on the party. Still know how to dance? Says Big D, did you carry a pacifier? Oh man, party every day. Remember how the backpacks? You know, it's crazy because the kids right now they carry the little backpacks and all that. Remember the chains, the wallets with the long chain, the lifestyle, Nights were rough in Southern California if you're Mexican and you weren't baggy clothes. You couldn't go anywhere without getting hit up. Now that for sure. That's funny how you said that, eh? You know how they had their little backpacks, man. The little chipon, how they used to wear the chipon, the little baby. They were just stuck on that chipon. That's crazy, dog. When did that stop? Like in the early 2000s or no? Yeah, you know, after the early 2000s, a lot of stuff got shut down, bro. You know, it wasn't like they used to. It was just like a decade. You had to be there in that time to understand, you know. Kids that were born in the 80s and born in the 90s, born in the 2000s and 2010s, they ain't gonna understand that. You know what I'm saying? I'm 40 plus years old, 45 plus, you know what I'm saying? I'm over 45, dog. I still look good, you know? But they will never understand this and the mythology and the concept of it. It was just, it's past their time, you know what I'm saying? It was just past their time, man. But imagine they would bring that and say, I'm 42, so I was a teenager.
Searching for a new Mercedes-Benz? The search is over at Walters Mercedes-Benz.
You got interfered with.
Right now, you can lease a 2023 Mercedes.
It's 42, 40. Yeah, I was a teenager too, man. You know, an older teenager. Hey, you remember when you used to pull the Mercedes-Benz emblem from the car and then use them as a necklace? Yeah, that was pretty crazy too. That's all the stuff we grew up with, man. You know, just a yank them. Never saying you see a Mercedes in the neighborhood, and they have the logo Mercedes staying up, yank it. You know what I'm saying? You got a tattoo of a Mercedes on you, I'm gonna yank it. Not just play that. Mr. Dog Brain. Make sure you guys tap into Queen Beam, man. You know, she's a very supportive, you know, love and respect Queen Beam. La Queen Bee. I had the Cadillac chain. That was crazy though, man. You know, like I said, it was a time. It was a different time, man. You know, it was a fun time. Even though there was a lot of things that were taking place. I remember tagging they were at their marks. You know, all that was at their prime. Deep House, all that was at the prime, man. Even the lifestyle, man, the dancing was crazy, dog. You know what I'm saying? This type of music, you know, for a cholo, you know what I'm saying? A homie, you know, gangsters don't dance, we boogie. Hey, homies were dancing, dog. You know what I'm saying? That time was treacherous. You could get blasted by you just wearing the wrong baseball hat. It was. So, you know, let's go into those kind of questions. Those are some good questions right there, Mr. Dog Brain and Aquatics and Coco, man. You know, you guys have some good, you know, you guys remembering back in the days and so forth, man. So the internet generation, that's what it is, man, you know? But hey, we're accustomed to that. I could say I'm a part of that, you know what I'm saying? So I've been trending all the way since back then to where I'm at now. Thank God I've been alive, you know, and God has, you know, put me in some situations where I'm able to, you know, tell my story. And, you know, back, you guys already know, man, I was recorded in the 90s back then. So, you know, it's very symbolic to me and it's very touchable. You know, Coco, we actually went out and did stuff. Yeah, exactly. So let's go into a little bit of that, man. The fashion of it, you know, it's crazy how you see, you know, low riders coming back, you know, the cholo, you know, style and the Chicano style and so forth. It's pretty cool, man. You bring it back the Dickies, the Nikes, the corduroys, the white t-shirts, the ironing and all that stuff. But it's just, people forget that was, that house music and rebels and house parties were part of the 90s too in the culture. And ditching parties, let's talk about ditching parties, man. Amigos, because we had imagination. These kids don't. That's very true. You know, let's talk about the ditching parties, man, first. Since I rarely or went to a continuation school, and we would come right to the neighborhood, and then right away, people are, what I mean, word goes out real quick, man. Whether you get a flyer, you got a text, or so forth. Who remembers the pagers? You know what I'm saying? You got a quick page, and you already know where that's how things were being sent out. So people right there in Southeast Los Angeles, over there towards Whittier, you got people from Whittier, Cal High, you had people from Pioneer High School, Montebello, and all that stuff, right? You had all the local house parties in certain groups. So, they will initiate it, right? A flyer goes out, a page goes out, or word of mouth, you just go, right? And then next thing you go to the party, right? Sometimes they had a door fee, you know what I'm saying? And we never got taxed most of the time, to tell you the truth, because hey, if it's in your neighborhood, how you gonna charge me, dog? We're gonna have problems if you're gonna, you can stay inside the house, but when you come out, dog, I'll be waiting for you, homie. We'd be the local bullies in these house parties. It was pretty crazy. And also the protectors, to tell you the truth, right? We made sure that there was no snappers. Who remembers that name, man? You know what I mean? That word, snapper. I have a homie named Snapper. It's crazy. Shout out to the homie. But you go in there, and then they have all kinds of these, so you go in there, right? You go into the back, and next thing the party, the garage and inside the house sometimes, and the bolo was just on, and like I said, there's a lot of weed back then, there's cocaina, they had the nitrous, you know what I mean, sucking up the balloon and all that stuff. And this will be on a Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? And Vanessa, what's going on? Thanks for tapping in. And it was crazy, because that's how it actually happened. That's how way these party crews were moving. That's how these party crews were wiggling. They were real serious about their business. They were real serious about their parties and so forth. They were real. Their movement was crazy. The ditching parties, the house parties. And they were happening in the summertime. Woo-wee. It was happening, but it made it kind of fun. I ain't gonna lie, going to these parties, even though I was not a house party, what I mean, or I didn't dance house or so forth. I actually hit my shoulder once or twice. What I mean? I was like, and I thought it was, pretty cool, to tell you the truth, man. That they would have these ditching parties, because they would bring their friends, and then they'll bring their friends, and there was a lot of outsiders coming in from different areas, right? You got people from San Gabriel going to Whittier, people from freaking Orange County going to San Gabriel. There was always a party that was conducting and that was making it, pretty cool. But like he said, we don't do those things anymore, man. All we have now is just social media. All we have now is just like, net this and net that, computer this, computer that. I'm online and you're online that, YouTube, you got Facebook, you got all this other crap, what I mean? We're kind of, it takes away the fun, what I'm saying? The fun was on the streets. The fun was being agile, the fun was being mobile, the fun was being how you run and move, what I'm saying? And that's how we knew. So when there was a party, let's just say this, right? When there was a house party, and let's just say we knew it was going to be in the neighborhood, or it was going to be in somebody else's neighborhood, we usually get picked up, we like, hey, of course the homies want to go check out the girls. I mean, come on, man, I want to keep it real, right? That's what we do, keep it real. So, we used to go out there, we used to be suited and booted. We'd be all creased out, so we won't get identified as the rebel, because the rebels have a different way of fashion, what I mean? And that fashion, they had a different way of presenting themselves. You know what I'm saying? They have a different way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? If you guys remember Mr. Hey, Coco Aquatics, do you guys remember? They used to wear like they were like really loose pants, you know what I'm saying? And then they would cut the bottom, and then they'll have the Doc Martens, right? And then, like I said, a lot of them had tank tops. The shirts were kind of funny, because there was even, remember the shirts? They used to have the 8-ball, the bomb, and all that stuff. The fashion was totally different. And you knew who was a rebel. You know who was a houser. You know who was a gang member. You just knew. You knew how to identify. And that's how it is. When you're on the streets long enough, you know how to identify people. and then you know who's around, who's not around, where this person lives at, where does that group, where do they do their business at. It was just a way of identifying certain things. Now kids these days and the next generation, they don't know really how to identify, to tell you the truth, man. You know, how are you going to call yourself a real gang member if you haven't even been on the streets, right? How are you going to call yourself a real pentero? You know, homie has been locked up, you haven't even been in prison, dog. You know what I'm saying? In those sense, that's what I'm just trying to come down to. How you know if you're a real houser if you're not, you know, never been to a house party and so forth. That's just how you know if you're a real drug addict if you've never done drugs. You know, that's what I'm just trying to conduct myself. You know, I'm just trying to say. But you know, that's how the way things were back in the days, man. You know, and they had, you know, Rebels had a different style from Tigers. You know what I mean? That's just the way it was. Tigers had a different lifestyle from gang members. You know, gang members had a different lifestyle from rock and rollers. You know, rock and roll guys had long hair. You know, so forth. Like I'm saying, identify case. The way to identify, you just had to know how to identify. You know, you see, observe, and you were checking out the music, the culture, and you were just with it back in the days. The '90s brought a lot of stuff in. And the 80s and 90s, it just came, you know, computer came in, you know, gaming came in, you know, different, just a lot of stuff changed during those times. It was just crazy, man. But one thing that I know, that the fashion was totally different. So, you know, we'll leave it. NBSK 1993. All right, what's NBSK, my dog? Let me see. Hey, you never had a blush with me, my friend. Orale, you know? Who's that for? Hello, listeners in the background. I hope you all having a great day. Yeah, there's a work. Hey, this is Happy Easter Monday, people. You know what I'm saying? We're just getting started. But you know what I mean? We talked about the fashion and living. Let's keep playing the music, eh? Yeah, more style and good times, man. What style could you say if you're on the internet? You know what I'm saying? I'm a YouTuber. I am. I've been around the world, baby. Just remember that. That's the difference between me and them. Hey, if you guys like this music, hey, I want to know, you know, give me a thumbs up. I play this music, my wife gets a headache. Eh? I was like, come on, girl, you spent most of your time in San Fernando Valley. They were throwing some parties back in the day, right?
Daily system.
Hitting it. Hey, and the homies be on the wall. Hey, Aquatics. Hey, Coco. There's the dog bang. He be on the wall like this on the homies. Not even dancing or nothing. That was a fun part, eh? You know what I mean? So, that was crazy, dog. You see all the cholos, all the gangsters, dog, you know? Hey, but we were packing though, dog. You know, that was in the hood. You know, you're in the hood, even going to other neighborhoods, dog. Like, you know, like I said, we had two little incidents, man. You know, where it was just holding up the wall. That's funny. Hey, you're all holding up the wall. Oh my God, what's going on? Another commercial, dog. Oh my God. Let me. Disco Choo Choo. No, we're playing house. What's up, house? How you doing? Thanks for tapping in, brother. We're just talking about the house parties back in the days and the music and the lifestyle. Totally different from the 80s and the 90s to where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Sea Dog's in the house. See, dog, yeah. There's a bolo up in here, people. There's a bolo. Happy Easter Monday. the celebration still continues. Different time, huh, people? A different time from back in the days to now. It's not fair to say that that these kids or this next generation don't know what's going on and so forth. It's a different time from them. It's not fair to them. They were not born at that time. But for us that were there, we already know that's implemented. That's already freaking dug and freaking part of our life, man. I like how you said that, man. The backpacks. You guys remember the long chains, the Rebels? That was crazy, dog. What else? They had the backpacks that were. The kids had the backpacks now. The way they backpack it. It's just crazy, eh? Now, like all these, like they have these EDC carnivals and stuff like that. They dress half naked. Hey, but the girls were dressing half naked back in the days too. I ain't gonna lie, dog. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I think about dusting on my solo jeans, right? And going to the bombing, right? Be kind of weird going to jail for vandalism at 40. Hey, don't tell them that Big D did sent you, dog. Don't tell them Big D sent you, dog. That's it. Even the Scante was better. Hey, the Scante was real, homie, back in the day. You got the peanut butter, the pink lemonade. Oh my God. Hey, when I got into, manufacturing it was real, bro, Man, the Scante was on fire, dog. That's what I'm saying, dog. The youngsters back then, man, we used to party all night. We'd be up for days, homie. On Tuesday, I'm telling you. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the style, how it was. Like I said, there was a long change. There were the backpacks. Who remembers the freaking, what do you call those? Those the suspenders. I mean, what do you call it? I think it's the suspenders, right? They used to, they had the rainbow kind and all that stuff. I mean, the fashion was totally different back then, man. It was just crazy, man. Everybody was active in 93. And that's another thing, man. Everybody was active in the 90s when House Party came in, bro. That's for sure. That's a guarantee. Everybody, when house parties were happening, everybody was active, man. There wasn't, you had to be careful how you wiggled back in the days, man, where you went, you got to know how to, you had to know how to duck and move, dog, like, you know what I'm saying? Let me see. Denise, what's up, homegirl? Thanks for tapping in, man. Caught you playing this music when Monica's not. Oh, she already knows, man. You got to remember, Denise, I'm the man of the house, you know what I'm saying? She just has a big belt. I'm really digging the music. Yeah, this is it was back in the days, man. We're just reminiscing back, and like I said, so my next thing, I remember the suspenders. They used to wear different colors. And how Aquatics or Coco or Mr. Dogbrain, they used to carry the chipons back then, the baby chipons. The pants were solo pants. It was different. They had Doc Martens just came out. People. And who remembers this? Do you guys remember this? The bomber jackets. Remember the bomber jackets? The real actual bomber jackets, for, the Air Force, the bombers, they had those jackets, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. It was part of our culture back then. Trending back then was totally different for the way people trend now and how we move. Back then, it was more respectful and more, it was honorable. To tell you the truth, man. We honored back those kind of things back then. Now being older, now that I made it, and, we're for some of us, we're old farts, as you would say. We're old people and stuff like that, man. I kind of actually miss those kind of days, man. You know what I'm saying? I actually kind of miss, going back and reminiscing about that stuff. That's why if you were born after the 90s, if you were born in the new millennium, the Pepsi generation from 2009, then you basically miss, the whole freaking 19th century, man. Now you went into the new millennium and so forth. And it was just crazy, man, how people dress and, the lifestyle, the glasses, all the remember they had the big old glasses, like you said, the chipon. Now, let's get into the another segment, where we just talked about, the lifestyle, the clothing and all that. you know, and what it was. You know, I remember the men, the women, you know, like, you know, I seen something on YouTube how I guess how they go to these big old places. See, now they have functions, right? Now they got the EDC carnivals and all that stuff where you could go actually go into stadiums or wherever, a warehouse and so forth. You know, they set it up all different, but it took away a lot from what the young kids used to do back in the day. So we're next subject we're gonna talk about is ditching, right? You guys already talked about it. So let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Uh uh Ditching was part of the culture back then, you know, to tell you the truth. When you were ditching, you found yourself at a party most of the time, man. You know what I'm saying? And the way we conducted ourselves, because you gotta remember, we didn't have cell phones back then, right? It was basically it was all paper, it was all flyer, right? Maybe you had a pager back then, if you guys remember, right? You remember if you had a thumbs up like that. If you remember the pagers and remember the flyers, man, give me a thumbs up, man. That's a thumbs up on here and a thumbs up on, you know what I mean, on the channel. Hey, help a big dog out, you know what I'm saying? But the way, you know, back then how we conducted ourselves was totally different, you know. It was I'm speaking truth right here, man, you know. And you know, trying to get to an event or to a house party or to a ditching party or to a warehouse party or even that. You know, I remember the Dome in Hollywood. You know, a lot of kids used to go out there and just do their thing. You know, it was actually one of the first places, maybe if I'm right. But I can say I don't know too much because I didn't wiggle like that. I was a gang member, man. I wasn't really trying to go besides being in the neighborhood, the house party, I wasn't trying, or maybe a couple, you know, maybe I'll go maybe to a certain city or a couple cities out there, but trying to leave anything out of, you know what I mean, 50 miles or sport, I ain't even trying to jam, dog. You know what I'm saying? I was just, we kept it in the neighborhood, 100, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that wasn't our wiggle. That wasn't our style. We're not really trying to conduct that. We embraced the house parties if it was in your barrio. You know what I'm saying? We actually went and we were not invited sometimes, but hey, you know, you got to go in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when the force is coming, you got two options where you're going to stand in front of it or you're going to move out the way. And at that time, you know what I mean? We were a force, to tell you the truth, in our little area. Okay. You know, in our little area. So ditching parties, man. Now the ditching parties were crazy because I've been to a few of them that had pools in the backyard. There was freaking poles that were made, and the setup was legit, man. You know, there was, you know, some people, you know, some of the people's parents, you know, they go in there, they had the whole setup already. They had the, you know, some youngsters where, you know, if you look at all the DJs now, you know, a lot of these DJs came back from, you know, back in the 90s, you know, doing from house parties and so forth, right? And you know, that's just the way it was. Let me see. Let me get to some of these questions. You know, Denise. Okay, thank you. See, lots of laugh. I remember that JJG beepers. You remember the beepers? That was crazy. How the blue one and then you had the pink one. And it was just a style, man. You know what I'm saying? And Big D was holding up the the wall. That's so like looking at all the homies. Hey, dog. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't holding up the wall, homie. I was holding up the puente, dog. You know what I'm saying? Or there was a few of us, you know. We're holding up the guns, you know. But let me see. Made my own number cards. Lots. Ricky Denise said, "I bet you did." Warehouse parties everywhere, South Central, Vernon, downtown. Yeah, I've been to a few of them, and maybe one or two in downtown. And it gets totally different from, like I say, even back in the 90s, if you guys remember the Art LeBeau's, you know, the Valentine's. But we'll talk about that. Today's just about house. You know, again, we'll talk. I'll bring up another. There's a couple other, I want to get into some other, what kind of trend was in back in the 90s when you're gang banging. You know what I'm saying? And the house party in the 90s and even in the late 80s. Maybe not in the late, maybe in the late 80s, it was barely starting, but I remember the 90s, it took off. You know what I mean? Before it just went viral. You know what I mean? Everybody was out. If you were not at a party, man, you were missing it, man. If you were not a youngster back there, you were not a teenager or young adult, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, if it wasn't at your house or you were not at somebody's house and you were not hearing this deep house music, then you were just not living, to tell you the truth, because these house parties were everywhere, dude. From Northeast LA to Southeast LA, like I said, to Riverside, to San Bernardino, to San Gabriel, to San Fernando. It was just harbor area. It was just a place it was a time to be, man. You know what I'm saying? You're driving by, you hear the parties, man. You see the people lining up. Neighbors used to call, and it would be crazy, man. But let's get into the music before I get into another subject, man. But yeah, you know, the style was pretty crazy, man. It was a trip, man. Let's go. Now hold up the wall, eh? I honestly wanted to dance. Inside my mind, I wanted to dance with the gente, you know what I mean? But you can't see a gangster dancing techno. The homie will rag at you at 4 o'clock in the morning, dog. You know what I'm saying? The homies will cap, man.
Digital leader is the type of leader we need for.
Be like, órale, dog. You know what I mean? Got the hot. If you were a teenager in the early 90s, you were either a tiger, a gang member, or a party crew. And Mr. Dogbrain, that's the truth, eh? Say, oh, different times, man. House, remember the late 80s. The 80s were different, eh? DC in the casa, yes. Nessa, Rona. Hold that wall up. That's messed up, eh? Hey. Oh, man. I gotta be cool. Easy, dog. Easy. Let's go. Come on, I want to see girls on the dance floor right now. We just had a beautiful Easter. It's Easter Monday. And the bolo continues, eh? This is the way we say, if you're a gang member, you're partying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just the way it was, eh? Hey, it's a house party right now, child. You're missing out, homie. Let me beep you. Let me beep you. There was Denise. There used to be house parties in my barrio. I remember back in the 70s, partying and clubbing. Yeah, that was a different time, man. That's what I'm saying. This 90s style right here. In the 90s, it was different. Back in the 80s, there was no such thing as house parties. Like I said, there was different groups. Different groups always develop. There's always a different trend. You know, there's always something else happening that these youngsters are going through. I mean, now it's just social media, bro. You know, like you said, man, it was fun, man. Okay, let me tell you a situation that occurred in one of these house parties. It was pretty funny, man. So, like I said, a lot of it had to do with ditching, right? You know, you're supposed to be in school and you're not. You were rather, you were at a house or whatever the situation was, right? You were just there, just at a party. You just say at a party, and it'd be like, you know, throughout the day, there was parties that were starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, bro. And I was just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? But you got to understand, from a homie that was up on the streets all day and all night, you know, it was just something else, another adventure to go into. Here's another excursion, man. Okay, what's happening over here? Hey, homies, I heard there's a party going on right now. So we would go, and at first, you know, a lot of times, you know, there was drugs back then. And who said it? Somebody said it earlier, you know, Scante was at that time, it was at its peak, man. You know, Scante, Burley Cake, and Coke was already, you know, crack was around and stuff, you know, was another thing that was going. But, you know, Scante, Nazinet, you know, was another way of being on the streets. And, you know, that Scante was good back in the days. So imagine it be up. Like I said, I remember Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we were out there, man. You know, I was out there every freaking day, literally out there every day. So there was always something, you know, that was going on in the neighborhood, man. Always. And house parties were part of it. Now, maybe in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, of course, it wasn't, right? Because it was barrio time. It's nothing but oldies. But like I said, things have trended and were different along the way. When it hit the 90s, you know, it was just like, it was just crazy, you know? So I remember, like I said, that one time, you know, getting caught by the parents. I didn't have a mother or a father to worry about catching me. I was wilding out, doing my own thing. But I remember a parent who came home to a house party, right? And they found their house, and these, you know, sometimes the houses were getting ravaged. Eh? You know what I'm saying? I remember, you know, the homies, we were kicking it right at a pad, and then for some reason, when homies was being, you know, with you know, the girl who lived at the pad, eh? And then so, you know, for some reason she was young. We're all young, but you know, some are older. We brought the older homies. When the older homies, you know, they're up to no good, dog. So, you know, the older homie was trying to get into one of the, you know, they were already going into the rooms, eh? You know what I'm saying? The homie was going through the rooms. right? And one of the rooms had a dog in there, like, you know what I'm saying? So my homeboy already knew, dog. He was like, oh, this room right here is like a vault. It's holding something. There's something in here that's this dog's protecting. So my homie goes to the refrigerator, right, where everybody's outside, you know, dancing and doing their stuff, you know, wiggling it, you know, getting the groove on. So my homie picked up a piece of meat, or I think it was pizza, leftover pizza, right? So he opens the door, he throws a pizza in there, right? Dog comes out. There was like 3 pizzas, you know, because people used to buy, you know, food and all that stuff inside. These parties, these house parties supplied everything, man. It's just like going to a freaking, you know what I mean, to the Holiday Inn or something, you know, or something, you know. We provided the liquor, the food, and all that stuff. The girls, the guys, you know, the music, the drugs, you know, it was just crazy. So anyways, the homie threw a piece of pizza. The dog was quiet. Boom, he already knew, all right, now to get some more stuff. Then he threw it out, right, while everybody was outside and all that stuff. It was already, I remember the time, it was already getting like in the evening. It was already getting dark. Homeboy freaking went. Dog came out. They had a Rottweiler, my homie's girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? So my homeboy, right, we're out there conducting our business, dancing, you know, just, you know, being gangster, whatever, you know. My homie comes out, bro, came out with some feria, some jewelry, bro, right? So my homeboy's already moving, dog. So that's what I'm saying. You know, the movement was different. You know, while we were there partying, my homies had other intentions to do. They were just hustling, trying to come up. And that's why I'm saying in the 90s, everything was acceptable. Anything was happening. You know, everything was happening, to tell you the truth, man. There was no way of getting out of a situation if you got involved in a situation, to tell you the truth, if that makes sense, you know. My homeboy went there. He was there for a reason. He had an agenda, and he came out winning, you know. And it's kind of sad to say it was funny, but it wasn't funny. But these were the type of things that we were doing at parties, you know what I'm saying? We're not only there gang banging or there for the highness or drugs and all that. There was other things that were taking place, man, at these parties. But, you know, a little story. So let's get the music going. Crazy times, you know what I'm saying? CT, crazy times. I used to like high energy disco. Denise says, did you roller skate? All right. No, amigo, that was my older sister. You remember the skate rings with the music? Yeah, the one in Whittier. What was that? I forgot the name of that. It's not there no more. Skateland? I think it was Skateland in Whittier, on Whittier Boulevard. Spin It, Mondo, Lay, Panic, all those high energy disco. There you go. This is my workout music though. This is why I grind it, eh? Denise, the good days, right? Everything is different now. You learn to adapt and function. Yeah, you know, it was a happening back in the 70s, days, but you weren't born. Lots of that big dude. I was born in the 70s. I just grew up in the 80s and gang bang when I was a teenager in the 90s. Skateland, there you go. But yeah, Skateland was a spot in Whittier. They should make a movie of the times in LA, all of the SoCal. Hey, telling you, I'll get there, man. I'll bring it. You know, that's all right here. I got shot 3 times. I got shot at 3 times, homie. Got hit standing next to me. We had crazy times, lots of homies getting shot. Yeah, it was, man. That's the way it was. You say, thank you, Lord, you're still here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is, man. To the west, to the east. Hey, YouTube ain't gonna flag me for this music, Sierra was cracking like 70s and 80s. That was. I always do thank the Lord, man. Always, man. See, you didn't have to be a gang member getting caught up, man. You know? All right, let's talk about another subject and relating to house music being in the 90s, man. It was part of the gangster lifestyle, where the shootouts. You know, there was always different barrios going to the barrio, if that makes sense. You had other neighborhoods from other areas that would come into your neighborhood, right? Because they got the message too, right? They were dialed in, you know what I'm saying? So they wanted to see there. They wanted to go to those kind of type of parties, You know, they wanted to be involved. You know what I mean? They wanted to go do the drugs. They wanted to go see the women. They wanted to listen to the music. They wanted to get their dance on for some of the gangsters that do dance. You know, that kind of that style. It was just it was a reality, to tell you the truth. Let me see. Play summertime. Let me see. E Visions TV. What's up, Big Dog D? What up, my boy? Hope all is well. Gracias. Hey, everything's good, homeboy. And like I said, so you had always other barrios coming to the house party too. And that's the reason why most of the gang members, I could say for most of my homies, if not 99.9, but a girl ain't one, you know what I'm saying? There was problems in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Because when Hyenas knew there was a party in the neighborhood, you know, it was just like the message gets sent out. Like I said, all we had was flyers and pagers back then. There was really no phones, to be honest with you. So there was times where other neighborhoods would come in and, you know, they would try to push their narrative, which is like, hey, we're here. And it depends, you know. I can honestly say that, you know, there was some neighborhoods that went to my neighborhood and, you know, they had to pass. They checked in, you know how they say now, hey, you got to check in, tap in, you know what I mean? They checked in. And all was good, to tell you the truth, man, you know. All was firme. There was really no tension with other people coming down because they brought a certain group too. You know what I mean? Let's just say it was Whittier and Pico, right? We already knew that, hey, you know, if they came from over here from Pico, they're not only bringing the homies, but they're bringing their hyenas and stuff like that too. So it was a bigger awareness, and there was a lot of, you know, not at the same time there was a lot of tension, but there was also a reality to be like, hey, all is good. You know what I mean? Let's have some peace and let the girls, from a male aspect, you know, let the girls do their thing, right? And let's do our thing. You know, we're there. It was all about hooking up. This is break it down, right? When you go to a party, man, it's all about the hookup, eh? Right? Come on, bro. Ditching parties, house parties, weekend parties, and so forth, man. It's all about the hookup, man. And then those days, it was just about the hookup. You know what I'm saying? That's what. But for gang members, it was about the style too. It was the estilo too. It's like, hey, we already were aware that other barrios were gonna come in and so forth. So we got to hold up, post up. You know what I'm saying? Got to man up. And this is what makes it different from, you know, this is just street gangbanging, okay? It's not prison or no so forth. You can see what direction I'm going, you know, before you hit that kind of system, and it starts here in the streets. So, you know, basically, you know, us, a neighborhood that was on the boulevard, you know what I'm saying, aquatics and you know, Mr. Dogbrain, he knows. Mr. Dogbrain knows for sure, bro. And Coco, they know. So we already know, like, hey, there's gonna be a party going on, so the cuete, you know, you got to gang up, man. You got to man up. So we already know, being active, man, that, you know, there was probably some tension that was gonna be across, man, especially on the weekends, right? So there was a lot of neighborhoods that, you know, they you know, they did what they had to do. You know, they were gonna wiggle and they were not scared, and they were gonna make their presence felt, and they were gonna come over and they're gonna say, "What's up?" Eh? Nothing different from back in the days, man. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, you know, it was part of the gangster culture, deep house. You know, house parties were part of the homies were excited, especially when it came to the weekend, because it gave an idea for what the homies wanted to do, right? And it was a good way to learn techniques, to gangbang, to get your skills, to get your fear off. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know, get your tension going. All anxiety is going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Everything's flying out. You know, all crap is off the chart right now. Now action's coming. You know what I'm saying? We already know that was action. So that's why, you know, gang members and house parties were part of the culture back in the 90s, eh? You know what I mean? You already know homies would be strapped. It was already concoct. It was already in motion, and you couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop it, eh? You couldn't stop it, eh? You know, and you go back with it. Okay, I'm back. Queen Bee's back. So, you know, so part of the things, and unfortunately, there was a lot of, you know, gang banging that was taking place. So there was rare situations where homies would squabble. I mean, I got jumped at a house party, to tell you the truth, eh? You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it real, man. You know, and what happens, you know, when the crap goes down, you better be ready, right? What Cypress Hill says it. You know, you guys know the words. When the shiz goes down, you better be ready. And that's what prepared you. That's what made a gang member. That's how he got his skills. That's how he knew how to wiggle. You knew how you got your huevitos were grown, you know, even bigger, because you were taking chances. It was part of the thrill. It was part of the fun. You know, it was the expectation. It was part of the anxiety. It was part of the moment. It was part of the time. And that was the 90s, man. You know what I'm saying? It was totally different from where it is today. You know what I'm saying? Just like the 80s were different, 70s, 60s, and so forth, for all us older cats, you know what I'm saying? It was totally different. But the anticipation and waiting and knowing that other gang members were going to come and you got to protect your territory, man, it's like eating a fresh piece of rib, steak. You just wanted to get yours. That's when homies, they wanted to make a name for themselves, right? They were willing to, make a movement and put their body on blast. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. So I remember this is how sometimes the shiz went down. So let's just say you got in a scuffle, right? Well, there was a lot of pushing, a lot of talking, a lot of jaw breaking, you know what I'm saying? A lot of yapping, yap, 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 yap. People say this and people say that. So, after that, you know what I'm saying? Guess what? If they were able to leave at that time, if they were able to leave and everything when someone was okay, but we knew there might be something happening, that's what you would wait for, to be honest with you. After the party was over at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, or if the party was still active at that time, after a certain time, the homies would leave. We would leave. The party starts at 10, 11, 12, 1, you know what I'm saying? Things are happening. We've seen enough, our homies are hooked up already. And then some homies will be on patrol. And it's like, hey, dog, it's patrol time. You had the whole patrol, and then you had the gang movement. You got the gang patrol. So it was crazy because on Whittier Boulevard, we didn't really have to go anywhere. Mr. Dogbrain, hey, he knows, right? A lot of people, you're from Whittier, that stuff, you already knew. Whittier Boulevard was right there. Back in the days, it was even crazier because cruising was it was acceptable at that time. There was gangs in the 90s where it was in high fashion right there. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of stuff that was like, taking place at this one time. And you were not just posted up, you know what I'm saying? We would actually move. It's like, hey, let's start the movement, homie. Like, all right, let's go. So we would go on patrol, leave the party, maybe 1 or 2 homies, and the rest of the homies, we would go kick back on Whittier Boulevard in the alleys, on Pleasant Way, on Redmond, and we just wait. Because that's how we knew that, hey, there was some action, and the excitement and the freaking anxiety started kicking. You know what I'm saying? It started kicking because of what was taking place at a house party. You know what I'm saying? It started from a house party or a ditching party, And that's how gang banging came, another form of gang banging, because other vatos were coming in. You know what I mean? They wanted to show some muscle. There's my wife right there. Look at her. Memory gets out at 6. Yeah, I got you, babe. Don't worry. We just got started. The party's ain't gonna stop. I got a couple more minutes. And then that's the way it started. So these are little segments that I experienced and how I was able to wiggle and learn and gain my experience from gang banging because it started from a little house party back then, right? And then there was also some scuffles. I remember some scuffles. There was some times you see a rival neighbor will come into to the house party, into the neighborhood, and next thing you know, things were happening, taking place, man. Some chingazos were happening, taking place. Hey, I'll get you, you get me. The people will come up, they break it, all the rebels will run and stuff like that. The tigers, all the housers will take off, and the party's over, dude. You know what I'm saying? Because guess who's coming in 5 minutes? The policeman, you know what I'm saying? So things were Tom, Sam's, Gin's, Burgers. Yeah, it was all happening. Taco Bell was happening. Whittier Boulevard was on fire at that time. You know what I'm saying? So, there was a lot of ways, where we were out there. Sure enough, I could tell you stories too. I'll tell you, like I said, I'm just sharing a few. Where, we were at another party in the neighborhood. Homie got us some dude. And we waited for him, and he called us out on it. He was like, hey, homie, you're going to catch me slipping on a one-on-one where there's 10 of you guys? He went like that, dude. And most neighborhoods and gangs will be like, oh, they'll do them anyways and do them dirty. And then we're like, hey, well, go get your homies, dog. You know what I'm saying? You're going to come back. And sure enough, like, oh, he's all right. I'll go get my homies. And sure enough, they went out, and we were waiting. You know what I mean? We were walking around. We'd be in our bicicleta. Homie be in our beach cruiser. Homie be you sit a homie in the front right here. Like, Debo and Tyrone, next Friday, be like that. My homeboy be strapping, bro. We'd be riding around the neighborhood. And anybody that, you see a different car or something like that, it was on and cracking. So it was like a boom, boom, boom. But this is what I'm saying. House parties, they were part of the gangster lifestyle. They sure were, man. You know what I'm saying? And for those people who were not there at that time or didn't know, hey, I'm telling you different. If anybody wants to say anything different, hey, that's on you. But this is truth, man. This is my type of, experiences in my life. But anyways, for you, babe. You guys see that video of my wife? She got a cap and gown. She's ready to graduate. All of a sudden, Big D wants to dance after 25 years later. That's messed up, bro. Queen B, Monica, I'm in rest mode today too. I stayed awake an entire Saturday into Sunday. Oh, Queen B, gotta get your rest on. See, my wife knows I use this music for the gym, man. No more holding walls, eh? No more closed doors. Different times, people, different times, eh? Look at me saying, no more locked doors, eh? Oh my God, eh? No more walking the streets, should I say, you know? The good old days, man. The good old days, man. You know, live life to your fullest, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't bring back the old days or nothing like this, man. If you're not born at this time or was trending at this time, it skipped you. Life skipped you. I moved out of Whittier in 2016, haven't been back, man. In Tarcora, Washington, and Norwalk, homie. That's right, Mr. Dog Brain. Hit, hot, 5:30. No more locked doors. House, what's up, bro? Send me mine from my wife. Product says, laugh at the needs. Vanessa, she feels it. Another commercial. Queen Bee Soul Food Barbecue the past Saturday. Wow, y'all know I took in place. I'm never on a diet. Oh my God. Hey, chicken's good for you. See, Denise could say I had to make dinner. I didn't have leftover from yesterday. Make it.
I got you dancing, your body soaking wet. I got you dancing, your body.
Oh, good. That Easter dinner was good, though.
I got you dancing, your body. 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 I got you dancing, your body soaking wet. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body.
Hey now.
I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body soaking wet. I got you dancing, your body. 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 I got you dancing, your body soaking wet. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body. I got you dancing, your body.
That's a good question.
I got you dancing, your body.
I think leggings came out in the 2000s. I don't know. 80s? Yeah, they were in the 80s, huh? Yeah, you're right. Eh? What was that guy's name in the 80s? The one that used to work out with a bunch of hair. Hey, what's his name? And one, and two, and one. What is his name? Back in the 80s? 80s, amigo. I had all colors. Damn. Jeez, what's up? It was like Madonna days. I was 9. What was that guy? That workout guy in the old days, remember? Yeah, Richard Simmons. Oh, Richard Simmons. Shout out to Richard Simmons. And one. Oh, Richard Simmons. Oh, damn. Remember that? Back in the days, dog. Dude, you don't know. If you don't know, now you know. That's what I'm saying, people. You gotta live a little bit. You gotta go back, you know what I mean, to reality, you know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of kids are, they're stuck these days because on social media, I'm letting the kids know, like, hey, back in the days, we moved different, you know what I'm saying? A gang member was a real gang member. A tagger was a real tagger, you know what I'm saying? Totally different, You didn't have to, if you knew you were in unshaded territory, you were there. Taggers took a chance a lot, man. They should tag in neighborhoods when they had the green light. It was just different times back then, man. You had to really be with it. Everything starts from the streets, you know what I'm saying? Then you get busted. Those who got busted, they did time now. They knew what time it was, man. Hey, babe, you're supposed to be working. Look at my wife's over here on the comments. Isn't she working? Oh, Rande. That's right, House. Those long boots, how those go-go boots? Yeah, go-go boots were. I got my wife on right here. You know, I gotta be cool what I say. You know? But hey, for the ladies who were wearing those go-go boots back in the days, big shout out, man. They used to play like all the music, how they were retroing all the games, Tetris, the Marios, and all that stuff. It was crazy, dog. Back in the days, dog. Look at who remembers even this, man. Okay, oh, music cuts on, boom. Most of the time, when that means 90% of the time, the cops were there, dog. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, man. The cops were there and it was over, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if people have drugs, guns, or they're underage at a party, you know, you already know the cops are gonna come in no matter what, man. Because if you were a teenager, which were a lot of people in these house parties were, it was not really conducted right, and you didn't have a permit, you know, to throw a party that was gonna be all night long, you know, kiss me, love me all night long. You know, they were gonna get broken down, man. So, man, I remember the cops, you know, especially if you're in a rough neighborhood, the swoop was on, man. You know what I'm saying? They came here to swoop you, man. You know what I mean? They come in 5 deep and with a helicopter presence in my neighborhood and at that time, you know what I'm saying? Because they knew that there was some homies that were going to be there. They're on parole or they have violations, warrants, and so drugs, guns, and all that. It was part of the lifestyle, man. Let me tell you, it was, you know, it was running for the hills, man. And most of the homies, we were not going through the front gate. Most of the homies were going through the back gate. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean. The cops are coming. They just know how to spoil a party, man. And then when they bring the dogs, when they bring the helicopter, the ghetto bird, and so forth, it was actually funny, man. And it was fun too. You know, I ain't gonna lie, man. You were doing some Mario Brothers stunts, man. You were bang. You were just jumping fences, trying to get over houses, man. I mean, we would go from one side to the neighborhood and fetch to the other side of the neighborhood. And that means you had to hurdle, you had to jump. I mean, you had to be an Olympian, to tell you the truth, man. All right, this guy's going to do the 100-yard dash. And boom, homies, shh. Okay, here comes the hurdle. Here's the hurdle department. Homies be jumping over fences. Like, it was crazy, man. But the cops were always freaking haters, bro. You know what I'm saying? And they were doing their part, man. You know, I give it up. You know, now that I look at it, like I said, the times were totally different from back then. You know, and you know, I got respect for the law enforcement and those, you know, the first responders and all that. I understand why they were doing it because we were up to no good. Let's just be honest. You know, we're already breaking our parents, you know, rules and stuff like that. And now the cops were enforced and they had to come because the neighbor decided to call the cops on this, right? I mean, some things have changed and some things haven't. You know what I'm saying? You do something wrong, you haven't. Well, I don't know, man, because neighbors these days, they don't even know. They don't even want to get involved, man. I'm saying this world is so twisted and has turned so many times where people have lost themselves. You know what I'm saying? I think the world got to slow down for our gente, to tell you the truth, or for the people to tell you the truth. But it was totally different, man. The cops, they were spoilers, man. And I never got, you know, caught, you know, at a house party or a ditching party or so forth. The ditching party raids were different, man. It was funny because everybody would stay inside the house, right? Except us gang members, our smart ones. You know, once you see the cops, I'm gone. That's why I never got busted, people, to be honest with you. I went to county, Supermax, and, you know, I was almost there. You know, I got some charges, you know. I lawyered up, you know what I'm saying? I was smart while the family lawyered up for me, to be honest with you. But, you know, it's just like when the cops are spoilers, right? We already know that. Man. You go to the beach, and for some people, yeah, you try to have some cold ones, cops are going to come, you're going to mess up your party. You go to a park, you know, you go to a house, you know, they're going to tell you lower the music or so forth or whatever. That's just the way it is. You know, cops are there to do their part. And like I said, I understand their movement and I understand their agenda. And they were there to do their jobs. You know, when people were getting taken advantage, you guys already see my homie, he already took advantage of one of the parties, you know, stealing all the jewelry in the feria. And did he share? No, but he knew how to give the dog a piece of meat and knew how to wiggle a big old Rottweiler. That was crazy. I still can't forget that. But anyways, you know, you do anything for drugs or, you know, for money back then. You know, you guys remember that word? He was a fiend. He was a dope fiend, eh? Man, you fiending, homie. Like, you know what I'm saying? We used to say that back in the 90s, eh? Man, he's like, homie's a fiend, eh? You know what I'm saying? Well, hey, it was part of the lifestyle, man, like I said. So the homies, we used to run through the back of the door, take off, we'd be running, you know, jumping fences. sometimes the dogs, you know what I mean? They let the dogs out. Who let the dogs out? The cops did. The sheriffs did, should I say? You know. And then actually, you know, you're trying to get away. When the cops, us homies, we knew we were smart. When the ghetto bear was there, one of us is gonna get caught, or several of us, to tell you the truth, because ain't no way running from a helicopter, man. It's just that's just truth, man. You know. So hey, some of us used to get away, some of us didn't. You know, and that's just the way. But the cops, like I said, man, they knew how to spoil the party, man. They did their thing, you know, and I understand why they did it, you know, because they're trying to break away, you know, any kind of, you know, gang activity, drug activity, you know, or senseless killing, to tell you the truth, man, you know, because, you know, sometimes, you know, people got killed over, you know, ditching parties, house parties, you know, and maybe not through gang violence, maybe an overdose, or, you know, who knows? There's just, you hear stories, there were some stories like that. And, you know, even a crowd, you know, fire in the warehouse and stuff like that. You just never knew. I never heard something like that so dramatic, but it was, you know, it was very possible. There's a lot of possibilities when it came down to, you know, crap happening in these type of movements and these parties and stuff like that, you know. But the cops were spoilers, man. Let me tell you something, man. They were just like, you know, I respect them now, but back then I had a different agenda, different narrative. My mindset was totally different. I was like, F the police, homies. You know what I'm saying? Come and catch me like you can. You know what I mean? It was like, they were like the 70s. Ooh, that boy right there, that big guy, that big D right there. Ooh, I'm gonna catch him one of these days. It was crazy, man. America. Tostada is very simple, not complex. That's right, Queen B. I like tostadas. There was a lot of bad cops on it. Let me tell you that one, man. Hey, you heard it first right here, man. You know, before everybody else starts saying this and that, and I want to talk about my encounter with the cops. There was a lot of bad ones, man. A lot of bad ones. Anyway. Remember the movie Kids? Too bad we didn't have a West Coast version. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, it's crazy. I forgot about that movie. Thanks, Coco. I got beat up by bad cops for blocking the sidewalk. Happy Easter Monday, everybody, man. Hopefully you guys had a good time this weekend. It was blessing, man. Actually, it's Resurrection Weekend. It's a blessing to be, alive and, continue the day. And let's continue to finish it off, man, to our thing. Big. Bye, guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you for tapping in, Denise. You have a good one, all right? Say hi to the family. I got to leave right now, too. I got 5 minutes.
Searching for a new Mercedes-Benz?
Searching for a new Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz. Right now, you can lease a 20.
Indeed, that sounds really good. I haven't made those in a couple of months. Thank you for giving me the idea for tomorrow. Yeah, tostadas, baby. Hear that? We be making tostadas tonight. You know, it's another question. You know what's crazy? Is like, I remember when Deep House came, I don't even know where did House come from, man. I heard from Chicago. There are different DJ out there was mixing up these. Like I said, man, when you go to a club, there's different music, right? Back then, it was the 70s, do a little dance, make a little love, side to side. And then it was still John Travolta, Michael Jackson in the 80s. In the 90s, I don't know where this Deep House music came from. I know I heard of this guy called Van Durham or something like that. But I think in Chicago, that would be pretty good to know where, house music really came from, man. It was part of that life. Being a gang member back in the 70s, in the 90s, and actually listening to the music and it's part of, actually tell you the cultura, to tell you the truth, man. It's part of our culture. In the 90s, it was, it was acceptable. It was happening. It was taking place. You couldn't shy away from it, man. And if you were active, And if you were gangbanging, if you remember, and then it was like this in my days. You know, you got to understand, LA is so big, and there was a lot of trending that was taking place, and things were happening so quick that, you know, we, us gang members, we knew how to involve ourselves when it came to, you know, we looked at it as fun activities, but at the same time, it was just everything was all gang banging mindset. You know, who's going to be at the party? You know, the highness, the drugs, and the migas, and so forth. It was crazy. The cops. You know, it was all embedded in one. So, you know, I got 3 minutes, man. You know, what's up, Nay Love? How you doing? Thanks for tapping in, man. You know, and I got 3 minutes, and I gotta go get the little one. And you know, like I said, man, if you guys missed this video, you know, go back, you can check it out, you know, or share it, you know, or whatever, you know. But I think we follow some 3 principles that I wanted to touch on. Was gang banging part of the or hip hop was or house music was part of the 90s gang banging culture movement, not movement, but part of the culture. It was, you know, I remember there was a lot of house party, ditching parties, and so forth. Man, there was a lot of different styles. You had rebels, you know, they had a different way of moving. They had different music. It was ditching. You know, it was just crazy, man. There was a lot of gang members that were involved. There was a lot of shootings. There was a lot of jumpings. It was just crazy how we have low riding, how we have gang banging, tagging. You know, rock and roll. You know, we had the stoners and stuff. It was house parties were part of the culture, and it was part of the style, and that's the way we were wiggling in the early '90s, all the way to it hit 2000. After that, and actually, after that, what really took off, I remember the deep house parties, and then after that, it just went boom. It was quiet after the fifth, like 95, 96, 97. You know, you didn't really have house parties and stuff like that because people were getting jumped, people were getting shot at, people were getting killed. There was a lot of cops presence. It was just crazy. It was a time period. There was only a certain time, you know what I mean, where house parties were. And then now look at house parties now. Now they got the EDC, right? Now they're taking it to, you know what I mean, where you could go to places and pay for it. And they got them at stadiums now. You know, they just do them different. Now they're all over the world, and, you know, they played in different kind of clubs and all that stuff. It was just crazy. But back then, this music was playing in the backyards. And in the backyards, there was a lot of things that were happening, man. Like I said, there was there was drugs, women, men for you women, you know, the stilo, you know, the representing, you know, everybody, all the rebels were proud back then, you know. I remember Rebel Familia, you know, I remember Whole Town. It was just, you know, it was crazy, man. Like, it was crazy, and it was embedded in me growing up, and like I said, as far as me protecting the barrio, you know what I'm saying? Because those house parties for when house parties started happening for like a good 2, 3, 4 years, man, it was consistent, man. Those were the 4 or 5 years were like important to my life, man. That turned me from a young G to a real G, you know what I'm saying? And because the anticipation, the excitement, man, like I said, running from the cops, you know, just, you know, wiggling, getting to know your enemies, and trying to trust those who you know that, you know, like, okay, this person's cool, he lives on my block, and identifying, you know, your neighbors and your surroundings to tell you the truth, man. You know, jumping over people's houses, man. There was a situation where, you know, the cops were on us, man, and I had nowhere to go, so I ran into somebody's garage, and the dad came, and me and my homeboy, you know, shout out to Bugsy. You know, we're like 2 houses before we jumped the fence, and we're somebody's house, and we wiggled into a garage, but we tried to get out to the back, and we couldn't. There was no exit. You know what I'm saying? So when there's no exit, you got to hide, you know, the best you can. And that happened to me a couple of times, man, where there was no exit, to tell you the truth. That's how I got busted with a gun. There was no exit. I remember one time I was running through a house, right? I ran into the living room. I see 2 little kids. They were like, ah! I made another way. I wiggled to the right. The lady was in the restroom. She was like, ah! I tried to go through another door. I was hoping leading to the back. And it was a bedroom, man. I wanted to jump through the window, and I turned around, the cops out, freeze, dirtbag. You know what I'm saying? He gave the whole freaking, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, so I was done. I couldn't throw the gun away or nothing. That's when I got busted with a cuete. But that's what it was, you know what I mean? You learn how to wiggle. You're part of that genre. You know, you're out there, you know, you just didn't go out there when the house parties were happening. You were out there just for the whole, when Whittier Boulevard was happening, or when nothing was happening. Most of my time, gang banging, nothing was really happening, man. You know what I'm saying? It was from Monday through Thursday, but there was always things happening, if you know what I mean. There was nothing happening, but there was always things happening at the same time. But check this out, people, man. I just thought I had a little fun with you guys. I appreciate you guys, man. You know, I just went live. You know, I just want to let you guys know that I'm still alive, still active, and still doing my thing. I got a couple of videos that are out there. Make sure you guys tap in, show your support. I appreciate you guys, man. And like I said, man, first of all, you know, before I leave, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, man. You guys are everything to me. You know what I'm saying? You guys are the real ones that are keeping it real and staying solid. you know, and doing the best you can as being, you know, being a part of, you know, our channel, right? I'm gonna say our channel. So I embrace you guys, you know, because, you know, I embrace the real ones, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we're over 500. And like I said, I was telling my wife, you know, I want to do something for you guys, you know, because it's only right, man. I'm still new to this YouTube channel. You know, oh, hey, Big D, your channel's almost 2 years old, but still, how, you know, I'm getting comfortable with you guys and within myself, you know, and talking and so forth, and you know, building a relationship with you guys, and just you know, just telling you apart the things of my life, and what I think and my opinions and so forth. And everything I say, you know, might not be true to you or your experience, but it wasn't mine. There's no reason, remember that old saying, why you gotta lie for, dog? You know what I'm saying? Well, you ain't gonna get no lying when it comes out here, you know what I'm saying? Because I got no reason to lie. But let me see who's on here. Monica Big D dropped the link underneath the video he made for you. Yeah, Queen B, I appreciate you, man, for, you know, doing what you're doing. Let me see who else is there. ZG, true story. I'm an 85 baby, so I got to see an experience of all this. That's right, Z. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. So, like I said, I'm not speaking any lies or facts. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm speaking truth. You know, you guys know I have a difference between truth and facts. You know what I'm saying? Facts, they change all the time. Truth never changes. So with that being said, man, appreciate you guys. I gotta go pick up my daughter. You know what I mean? Holla. I still got responsible. You know, baby, I'm coming for you. Let's play a little bit more. She's gonna wait up. That's gosh, I do my daughter dirty like that. I gotta do that. It's just all fun and games, man. But hey, thank you guys, man. Hey, thank you guys again. I appreciate you guys for all you guys. 500 subscribers, pretty much 90%. I've done it by myself with the help of my wife. And for those who who have recently, you know, got with me, you know, big shout out to Brenda Love. Big shout out to Queen B. For those who are sharing my videos and who make contact with me and say, hey, you could do this, you could do that. And you know, it's been an experience. And you know, 500 subscribers. Like I said, I've done it by myself, and I got something for you guys, you know. It just takes a little time, you know. I don't got a Cash App or this and that. I'm not asking for anything. I'm still new to this and all that. But hey, you know, time is better than no time, right? All we have right now, people, is time. I don't know when the hourglass is going to run out, but today, let's just live for today, because tomorrow is not promised, man, you know. So with that being said, man, I got to go pick up the young one, the teenage love. And I'm glad, you know, an hour goes by quick, man. That's pretty crazy. But I was able to share with you. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for your like and support. Like I said, make sure you guys tap in, like, subscribe, share my video, and I'll get back to you. So with that being said, you know who it is. Now I'm gonna come in the way I'm gonna leave the way I came in. Bah.